I believe that every movie adheres to the 29-point story structure. No matter if the writer outlines first or dives in blind, the end product follows the same 29 beats. Star Wars The Force Awakens is my 30th piece of evidence. The final leg of the core Star Wars story has been reached, and once again I foolishly gave internet trolls my ear. Never again, says I, as I turn from the haters and fully face the glorious spectacle of the sequel series. The production value and practical effects alone make this installment enjoyable, yet the acting cranked it up to legendary. The Force Awakens adheres to modern pacing similar to Revenge of the Sith's summer blockbuster feel, and marches through a litany of locales similar to The Empire Strikes Back. Everyday characters rise to the mission for their own reasons, all entwining their fates into a new motley crew, and the whole thing succeeds because of its white-knuckled grip on the 29-point story structure. Let's begin. A tight focus on the core elements of the protagonist's personality, inner conflict, and situation. Poe plays the familiar role of a rebel spy trafficking in hard-sought information, while Finn the Stormtrooper falls into quick disillusionment about the First Order, and Rey proves that desert scavenging is just as personally rewarding as moisture farming. Where, why, and how the protagonist exists in their world, with a focus on why they don't quite fit in. Rey crosses paths with BB-8, pulling her into the story already in motion. Kylo Ren forces a confession out of Poe, then Rey proves her loyalty to this newfound droid by refusing a lottery winnings worth of food to keep BB-8 by her side. A singular event that's never happened before, and is destined to lead the characters away from their status quo. Finn breaks Poe out of custody, so that Poe will pilot Finn the hell away from the First Order. An examination of what's different in light of the something new, what's the same in spite of it in relation to the status quo. Disillusioned Finn and rebel pilot Poe almost escape the First Order, but they crash land back on Jakku. Then Kylo Ren subverts part of his orders for his own gain, to find Luke Skywalker. The discovery that things are less than ideal, or an exploration of how badly things are. Rey interrogates Finn at the end of her staff, revealing the supposed demise of Poe. Then First Order troops and airstrike attack the settlement. Characters dedicate their effort to a specified goal, which is smaller in scope than the primary objective of the third act. Rey and Finn scramble to keep BB-8 out of the First Order's clutches. A brief checklist of the story elements needed for the second act. Everyday characters rising to the moment, Kylo Ren's tantrums and personal chaos, blind trust and personal agendas, an ever-present and ominous danger, and familiar faces and familiar plotlines. The singular event that launches the characters into the wild jungle of the second act, also called an oh shit moment. Rey drops Luke Skywalker's name and shakes Han freaking Solo from his cranky demeanor. Oh shit. Characters must learn all new rules and expectations distinct to this adventure. Rey and Finn struggle between warring gang factions who want Han's head, and discover they've both been identified as fugitives. Then Rey's escape plan doesn't start like she hoped. Characters showcase their ability to grow in the areas this adventure requires, typically through external means. Rey saves Finn from a Rathtar, then stands in as Han's co-pilot to navigate the hardware changes, which is actually kinda clever subtext for this new trilogy. And we meet Supreme Leader Snoke, who supplies Kylo Ren's backstory and Force heritage. Characters face legitimate and understandable reasons to deviate from their stated convictions, agendas, or desires. Han realizes the oh-so-important map is incomplete and maligns the various rumors of Luke Skywalker's fate. Finn faces the prospect of his lie being discovered, and Rey debates a job offer against her life on Jakku. An escalation of problems that vex the characters. Calls go out across the galaxy the moment BB-8 enters the Jungle Social Club. Kylo Ren pays homage to Grandpappy Vader, dedicating himself to fight against the light side, and Finn warns them all of the dangers of standing still. Characters evolve internally by utilizing everything they've gathered and learned. Finn fesses up to his stormtrooper origins and asks Rey to run with him, but she's called in a different direction towards the Skywalker lightsaber, confirming her Force abilities. Journey-weary characters reconcile the reality of their ongoing situation with who they were in the first act. Maz Kanata helps Rey face the truth of her first act wound, that her family isn't coming back. The motley team beholds the rising power of the First Order. A singular event that strikes at the protagonist's core conflict. Rey is forced to carry a responsibility that she can't escape. Protect BB-8. Characters find a safe harbor that also provides needed answers for both external and internal conflicts. Poe swoops in with the Resistance to prove that they absolutely are a force mighty enough to give the First Order its reckoning, and Finn discovers his ability to slaughter lives in wholesale, in opposition to space Nazis. The clarified objective is realized in part or in whole, though it's meaningless without the completion of the primary objective. The Resistance succeeds in keeping BB-8 out of the First Order's hands, but they lose Rey to Kylo Ren. General Leia and Han reunite, but it's in violent opposition to their son's Vader aspirations, his invaderations. An existential conflict that wounds the character's sense of self, worldly identity, or their journey. Finn agrees to be debriefed about everything he knows, providing intel against everything he's known. Leia faces the impossibility of bringing Luke home, then tugs at the only thread of hope she can, that Kylo Ren can be redeemed the same way as Vader. An undeniable win for the protagonist, typically in direct connection to the rebirth. Rey pushes back against Kylo Ren, further tapping the Force abilities she's toyed with all movie. Her success drives a deeper wedge between Kylo Ren and his invaderations. A grand loss directly connected to the character's newfound inability to quit the journey. Rey incurs the wrath of a powerful and insecure Force user, while the Resistance finds out that they're about to be fired upon by Death Star 3.0. They bet on the exact same plan as the last movie, but that can't possibly work twice, right? A thematic freefall tied directly to the heavy price. The Resistance suits up to take on the First Order super mega weapon, while Kylo Ren panics about finding Rey running loose with untrained Force powers. Then Han crash lands the Millennium Falcon on the planet's surface, and Finn reveals that he's only there to save Rey, and he knows nothing about disabling the shield. A singular event that robs the protagonist of seemingly any chance of success. The Resistance has only 15 minutes to mount a defense powerful enough to shut down Death Star 3.0. Characters cannot return to their starting personas and must turn to face the primary objective. Finn manages to deactivate the shield. The Resistance open fire on the vulnerable thermal oscillator. Han and Chewie lead the way to Rey, and the motley crew sets out to bomb the damn oscillator from the inside. Characters move towards the climax while utilizing the major swings and sneaky misdirections of the story. Han sees Kylo Ren again, and they share a trademark Star Wars father-son disconnect scene. Then Han, betrayed and murdered, falls into a massive pit, a trademark Star Wars manner of death, and the Death Star 3.0's timer continues to dwindle. The final confrontation between the protagonist and the antagonistic force. The Skywalker lightsaber chooses Rey over Kylo Ren. Poe delivers the final blows to the compromised oscillator. The singular event where the protagonist finally confronts their place in the status quo. Rey taps the Force, and she chooses the side against the monster who killed his own father. The direct aftermath of the climax. Rey whoops Kylo Ren's ass with force and fury, and delivers Finn to the safety of the Millennium Falcon, who will all escape before the planet explodes. The consequences of the climax in relation to other characters and the status quo. The Resistance celebrates their substantial yet limited victory. R2-D2 reboots out of standby mode and helpfully provides BB-8 with the rest of the Luke Skywalker location mystery. Then Leia sends Rey off to find her wayward brother. A tight focus on the protagonist contrasted from the opening. Decked out as Rey 2.0, she climbs to the top of an island and finds none other than bearded Luke Skywalker. And there you have it. My 30th example to support my argument that all movies follow the exact same story structure, regardless of how the writer approaches their craft. The Force Awakens serves as a love letter to the fans while shaping a new threat to galactic stability, and delivers a pulse-pounding tale that holds rigidly tight to the 29-point story structure. But does this underappreciated story of a severe family schism follow the same plot beats as Guy Ritchie's trademarked ensemble crime capers and larger-than-life yet dangerous characters? Yes, it arguably does. Next on my docket, The Gentleman. Please subscribe to stay up to date with this and future videos, and please like and comment with your thoughts and reactions. I'll talk to you next time.